Hello everybody, welcome back to Everyman Prepping. And we're going to talk about France at war. And we're not talking about how France, might be at war with Ukraine through proxy. No, we're talking about how France is at war with itself, basically. They've been having riots the last 3-4 days. I think today might be day 5 if it goes on, which it probably will. And they're basically at war with itself. And we're going to see what the police said. But these riots are huge, multiple cities, mostly big cities. Burning things down, terrorizing people, hurting people, maiming people, killing people, stealing things, burning buildings down, libraries. So yeah, France, according to the police, what they say, they're basically at war with themselves. And so I want to talk about that, not really because I'm concerned about France or have a deep interest in the French quelling these riots and all that, but more for in your area, in your country, whether the United States or the UK or Australia or somewhere else, and you live in a larger city because that's where most of these riots happen, what you need to get ready for. Because civil unrest is coming to you this summer. Winter if you're in the southern hemisphere, but it's coming. Tensions are building, and most likely than not, you're going to see civil unrest. And like I said, it happens mostly in big cities. This is what's happening in France. And, first advice for anybody, of course, is to GTFO the big city. Get the F out of the big city. Those of you in a big city will be like, oh, I love it here, or my job's here, my family's here, I can't leave, I'm taking care of my parents, or whatever it may be. And if that's true, and if you can't get out of that big city, well, you need to be prepared for what's going to happen for your business that's there, your family, your home. And so that's kind of what I want to go through. Let's go through what's going on in France. We'll look at an article, some pictures, and kind of get a sense because, George Floyd happened, a few years ago. People might have forgot, people have short-term memory what happened. People are saying this is France's George Floyd moment. We're going to go over that a little bit. But, things aren't looking good there. And a lot of gun violence. Now, for the gun control people out here, they say, if they would just take away the guns, there wouldn't be violence or unrest. Well, let's address that first and see what the French gun control is, because, there's a lot of incidents of shooting going on over there. So they must have very liberal gun laws, right? Everybody can have a gun over there. Everybody can walk around with one, right? No. In fact, they have very strict laws, and we're going to check that out. So, in fact, let me go pull that up really quick here. As we do that, please like, share, and comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this so far. So, who has the right to carry a gun in France? It says here that owning a gun is usually associated with hunting practices. So, maybe if you're a hunter, you can have one. And as we go down here, it says, very few people are allowed to bear arms in France. Permitted groups include serving police officers, judges. See common theme here, police, judges, not the common man. They're allowed to have weapons, and certain security guards and bodyguards. So the rich people can hire people that have guns. Common person, not so much. It says, what about hunters? Yes, hunters are permitted to obtain a gun, transport it to use, but only while out hunting. And then it goes on to say, several. It says, however, semi-automatic firearms can only be bought if a person has a license and they must have spent at least 6 months as part of a shooting club. So it still has to be a hunter, part of a shooting club, and then you can own one. And then it's, by the way, it's prohibited to carry these weapons around, but you can only transport them to and from ranges and hunting. So you can't just lug them around the city like we're seeing going on. And in fact, here's one, you'll see this behind me as well, along with all the other stuff going on behind me, just so you can give a glimpse of what's going on. But this gentleman here at the bottom, well, he must be duck hunting or something right now because, by the way, that's a shotgun. I don't know if that's dragon breath. I don't know what the heck he's shooting. Maybe someone else. Some of you that are really into shotguns and know a lot about the different kind of ammo can tell, but he's trying to disable this camera here, and he's being cheered on by these other fine people over here setting a fire. But I guess he's hunting, and I'm not sure this is a hunting ground, but that must be a registered hunter that had 6 months in a gun club because he's not permitted to have that according to the laws over there. So just another instance of how the common people, the law-abiding people don't have weapons, but yes, criminals do. And you'll see as we go through this article here how many more criminals have weapons and not even the police can keep up with them or, combat them. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Let's continue on. And let's go to why this started. So let's look at this photo. So the reason they're calling this a George Floyd moment is there's a report there was a 17-year-old Algerian boy in this yellow car. 2 police officers showed up, pulled him over. Not sure why. I'm not going to get into who's right, who's wrong, what happened. But what happened is one of these two, not sure which one, shot him. The boy died. The police officer that shot him said he did so because he thought the boy was going to run people over and kill them, so he did it for public safety. Not sure true or not what happened, but that's basically the facts of is boy pulled over, cop shoot boy dies. He's an Algerian minority immigrant, and then all the immigrants are kind of rioting now and very upset. So thus the George Floyd moment. And as we go through this, you'll see a theme later on that it's mostly the Muslim immigrant population that is rioting. And to put it into perspective here, at least in the United States, we've had unfettered immigration, illegal immigration through the southern border. Millions, at this point, I was going to say thousands, but millions of illegals coming across the borders, unchecked, unvetted, coming across the borders. And that's why I say civil arrest is due upon us, because when something happens to an immigrant in the United States and we have a large immigrant population and they get upset, well, the same thing can happen here again. So that's what's going on over there. But continue on here. What we see here is the French police say that we're at war with vermin as nationwide riots spread across like cancer. And we'll read on here. They said if I put money on it, it's going to happen again. Yes. It says social unrest spread like cancer across French cities on a fourth consecutive night. They're talking back on Friday night, today's Saturday, with hundreds of buildings and vehicles set ablaze. It says rioters set fire to 1,350 vehicles, 235 buildings. I heard the largest library in Marseille maybe was burned down. I don't know what that had to do with the fire, killing of a kid, but they burnt down a library because who needs books, right? And this is what it says here. According to the Telegraph, French police said that we're at war with savage hordes of vermin. So that's their word. That's a quote from the paper, at least, that they're at war with savage hordes of vermin. So according to the police, they're at war with their own population. It says overnight French Islamist rioters have burnt down buildings, killed and injured and even maimed French locals, looted shops, destroyed vehicles, laid waste to every major French city. Here's a gentleman in a Nike outfit for you, just trying to go about his night, I guess. Here we have a school. They're going after schools. So I'm not going to play live videos because Twitter usually will flag your video for playing stuff, thinking you're glorifying things. So I'm just going to kind of roll through it here quickly. But you see someone pouring some flammable liquid on the ground. And of course it won't load now because it was loaded before. I'm not sure why it won't now. Yeah, this was working before where I could scroll through this. Let me see if I start and stop it. Nope, having trouble. As we know, Twitter's having trouble today because Elon Musk is doing some thing where he's limiting the number of tweets you can see, so maybe that's why it no longer works. But basically, it showed it up in flames, so burn school down. Well, let's continue. And here, he reports on a lot of riots. He did a lot of the George Floyd riots in the United States, but he says a jewelry store in Marseille was ransacked and looted during the ongoing race riots. Part of the George Floyd movement, the shooting death of the French Algerian youth. So I guess they're looting there. This is that gentleman I had a bigger picture of earlier where he's trying to take out the security cameras with his duck hunting weapon, of course. And then it says here, cars in a parking lot in Angers, France have been set on fire in attacks carried out by rioters. France is now on the fourth day of race riots by use of immigrant backgrounds. As you can see, there's a theme of a lot of immigrants rioting, immigrants looting. Nothing against immigrants. You come here legally. You're sponsored, you have a job and all that. That's great. That's what made America strong. I have a background. My family immigrated from Europe a long time ago. They came here. Everybody came here. They come here legally, seeking jobs to help out the country, be part of the country, learn about the United States, whatever your country you're going to. Whether it be like any other country moving to, not just the United States. More power to you. Coming across illegally and without being vetted. Well, maybe this is what led to all this. This says white people are being attacked at random here in France. Some attacks seem to show mutilation with machete by Muslims. Don't know if that's true. However, I did see a photo, which I'm not going to put up here because it was very graphic, with what looked like a white gentleman on the ground, missing his hand, with his hand about 2 or 3 feet in front of him. that was chopped off by obviously some kind of sharp object. So yeah, that's happening. Can't verify that myself, but did see that photo being passed around the internet. It says here the French police have lost control of the streets. I would say so. Pharmacies burning down. These are not protesters. They're rioters. Yes, they are. And here's a good one for you. So here's a submachine gun, belt fed, probably taken from the police like it said. Can't verify that either, but common citizens can't protect themselves against this. I don't even know if the police can, but the people, doing illegal stuff, the rioters, they have these now. So how are you going to protect yourself? And that's basically what I wanted to talk about here is, so you see what's going on, how bad it can get, and, you need to think about protecting yourself. Like I said, if that involves you saying, I'm going to stand guard, kind of like in the LA riots, where you had the rooftop Koreans up there protecting their place, you can do that. Just be ready for any legal complications, wherever jurisdiction you're in. Do you have a stand your ground? Do you have something where a castle doctrine where you can defend your workplace? Maybe you live on top of the shop or something in your big city. Can you use deadly force to protect it? What's the legalities? You got to think about all that. Do you move your family out and you just stay back to protect your property? When you move the family to friends or other families outside the city, if you really can't leave, do you since riots are going on, that's what you do. Biggest thing of how to avoid the riots if you're there is not be there. We already talked about GTFOing out. Or if you're visiting an area, I saw a picture of a busload of Chinese tourists, I think. They were trapped in a French city with riots going on everywhere, and they're scared out of their mind, saying they're never coming back. Well, yeah, so don't be where the riots are. If you're on vacation and you happen to be in France, maybe it's time to leave and go visit another country. If you're going to another country and there's riots happening, maybe you don't go there. Just don't be where the riot is. Even if you live in the area and you want to go downtown, you maybe need to check if there's some civil unrest brewing and avoid it. So avoid it. If you live down there, like I said, do you have stuff to board up your windows? Do you have fire extinguishers, things to put fires out? Do you, a board's going to stop people? Maybe you need to go sheet metal up your stuff. Is it expensive? Yes, it's super expensive. Do you need to hire guards maybe? Because, security guards can have weapons in a lot of places. So maybe you hire someone with a gun if you can afford it. Figure out your plan. Come up with a plan to protect yourself and your property or your work or whatever it is. Because civil unrest is going to come this summer. It's going to come in a lot of cities, in a lot of countries. And, not just for instances where it might be a George Floyd or a Algerian, immigrant or some other immigrant getting killed by the police. Civil unrest could come to us because of financial instability. People can't afford to eat and stuff, so they start rioting for food and clothing and all that. Could come because of the war. We get deeper into this war and they start, drafting people, or they start, going and just shipping off people to go to the war. And people are upset about that. People can be upset about a lot of stuff. The summer, like I said in previous videos, summer makes people crazy. The heat, the long days, the boredom, all kinds of things can cause civil unrest. So please think about this. And even if you're on the outskirts or in the suburbs, these things can spread. People take advantage of crises and, they will maybe broaden out into the suburbs because they know there's not a lot of police. People are a lot more lackadaisical. They're more trusting. So don't let your guard down no matter where you are. But definitely you're in a city, you need to watch out. Tune into what's going on in France. The media is not really paying attention to this at all. So dig into it. You won't be able to do it on Twitter too much because, like I said, Elon Musk is limiting how many tweets you can see today, and things are crashing. That's another video. But I just want to bring this out. And until next time, definitely keep your ear to the ground. And if you're in that big city, head on a swivel.